Alright, I'm going to show you guys how I make my belt pouches. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold a piece of paper. I like to use lined paper because the lines are helpful for keeping good symmetry. Fold that in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to fold it in half again. And what I'm going to do, I've done this enough, pretty much know how I like my pouches. I'm going to go with the open part at the bottom. What I'll do is I'll kind of come in. I always give it a curved edge at the bottom, and you can always, take away more if you want, if the pouch ends up being too big. So I give it this nice little pouch, this little bulge at the bottom, and then I'll kind of come up and I'll straighten it out as I go. That'll be important for later. And that gives you your outline. So I don't like how much that flares out, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut it just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Keep it just a little subdued. You don't want any sharp angles. You want everything to kind of flow. So I think that looks a lot better. So what I'll do now is I'll put this over leather and I'm going to trace this entire thing, and I'm going to show you why. Because I'll trace this bottom part on leather separately and I'll cut it right about here. That'll be the front part of your pouch. And then I'll trace the entire thing. All I do is, it's just a two-part bag, very simple, like little belt pouch, inspired by like 1800s pouches. So trace this entire shape on the leather and just like right about here. And what I'll do when I stitch it, I'll stitch the front part on. So I've got a failed one over here from another video. I'll stitch the front part on, and then what I'll do is I'll make sure to leave enough room for a belt, and then I'll just lay a stitch across here, and that gives me the perfect size flap. And it's just really simple and really easy. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to cut this back even more, but I'm going to start down here just to kind of get past that hole and just to smooth things out as much as possible. And I think I want to come in from the top and get rid of this little area here. I mean, I can do that when I'm cutting the leather, but I just kind of like to have a good starting point. So now we're going to go ahead and transition, and bam, I like the way that flows a lot more. I think that looks pretty good. Now the reason I'll have my my belt area thinner is I don't know, it just gives you more capacity. It doesn't take up too much real estate on your belt. I mean, this is a pretty wide belt pouch loop, but yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I'm not even going to cut. I'm just going to pull right here. Already got all prepped up. This is going to be our belt pouch. I've got this really beautiful, got some incense ashes on it. Got this really beautiful goat hide from somewhere. I've had it for a while, and it's an absolutely beautiful color. And I wanted to save it for something special, and I think this is finally something special. I want to do this for you guys. It's got some, like, I don't know what that is actually. I think it's incense dust. Yep. So I think we're gonna use, I was gonna use a buckskin for this, but my belt pouch that I use now is buckskin, and sorry, I'm going to zoom you guys out a little bit. My belt pouch I use now is buckskin, and it's too loose, or too stretchy, almost, I would say. But I think I want to use this, and I want to try to capture this nice ridge in the center. Oh yeah, that comes right up. Yeah, okay. Because I really like how this looks up here. I would really like... Oh, that's just about perfect. I think we're going to do that to save as much of the leather as possible too, because these side pieces won't be used for too much. So yeah, I think that's the plan. I think we're going to try to get in there. It'll give it some character. You know, nice dark at the top on the flap. I think that'll look really good. I just have to grab. Oh, you know, and actually we're going to flip the workpiece because you always want to mark your leather on the inside, like they have here, which I don't much care for, but it looks like it's chalk. It's coming right out. I don't know, those wrinkles might be a bit much. Oh yeah, there's actually holes in those wrinkles. I don't know if that's going to affect the flap. It sure will. So yeah, we're going to go from the other side. As much as I like the color of that, and as much as I like the look of that, we're going to use this side instead. There's even a little imperfection there, which I think we're going to move down just a little bit. I think we're going to put it right about here. And we're just going to trace this design out. And you always want to use the inside of your leather, like I was saying. Going to kind of keep in mind where that mark is. It looks like there's even a mark on the inside right there. Looks like that's just a hole. But yeah, this is a special goat skin I've been saving for a long time for a special project, so I'm really happy to use it on this. I don't know if you guys are the same, but sometimes you'll just come across a piece of material or something special. So just making sure that line is lined up with the center of the pouch. I think that'll look really nice. You know, actually we can ride that imperfection, that blemish there. We can put that right in the stitch seam so it won't show up. I'm just going to go ahead and use a pen. I usually use a pencil, but I cannot find any of my pencils. Make sure that that's actually marking. It was not. Good thing we checked. There we go, perfect. I will use a pen sometimes, especially for stuff like this, because this is where I'm just going to cut it. I need something heavy to put down, but you guys can see that where I'm working. Check. Hard to see. I've got unusual filming setup. We're Mystic Forge indoors today. This doesn't have to be perfect. I just need the rough design. Hopefully this pen is still writing. Looks like it is. But yeah, I like goat skin because it's not quite as flexible when it comes to like stretchiness as buckskin, but it's really nice and durable. I want to get over there a little bit better. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. Why isn't it marking there? We can go through, call that good. And then, yeah, I think we'll just go up the goat hide some more, and we'll take that inner part just so that line keeps running through, because I think that'll look really nice. Double check just to make sure. Ooh, it might be a little off center, but I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. And the cool thing about this is you can pick, whenever it's got this very symmetrical design like this, you can kind of pick which side you want to be the top and bottom, because it doesn't really matter. Do I want to use this? How well is this going to cut? Let's find out. We're using scissors. That just kind of wants to bunch up. This feels kind of sacrilegious to, oh man, I can't believe I'm cutting into this hide after all this time. So we're going to go ahead and cut. Yeah, that's some nice material. I think scissors are the right idea for this. Hopefully Hopefully I'm in frame. Yep. A little bit more. Show you guys. I like to kind of drape it over my arm when I'm cutting this thin material like this. I think this will be, nope, never mind. I was going to say this will be the first pouch I've ever given away or sold, but I think I've made a couple for friends. I think I made one for my brother-in-law. I could fold all this material and try to cut it the exact same way I cut the paper, but there will be no guarantee. I'm just going to kind of do this so I can keep it separated. There will be no guarantee that the pieces will stay aligned the way I want. This is pretty much a fabric at this point, the way this goat skin feels. Same with buckskin. If you've ever worked with buckskin, you know, it just kind of feels like a stiffer fabric. Which, like, I used to always think that the, you know, like the mountain man wearing the buckskin pants looked kind of goofy, but man, I understand that stuff's comfy. Since I've been working with buckskin more and all that, it's a very soft material, but it has a lot of benefits. It's like so breathable, but it, like, especially in winter, like, helps hold on to heat, kind of radiates your heat back at you, kind of like wool. But I would say buckskin's a little more windproof, a lot more windproof. It's waterproof too if you treat it with animal fat or, you know, some sort of leather waterproofing agent, which I am going to be doing to this bag. So it will be a little bit darker with the final product, but I want to make sure that, you know, this bag lasts whoever wins it as long as possible. I don't even know if this audio is gonna make it in. I may just have this be all sped up and a voiceover, you know. Thanking you guys for being, you know, really awesome. Hey, it's starting to come together. I don't typically like to do all these starts and stops because you can kind of tell where you stop the cut. I'll show you what I mean by that. Because it's really hard to line back up after you get in there. But you can see, like, right here, it's kind of got that little nick, which, like, you can always come back in and kind of snip that, trim that up, and straighten that line out a bit. But I like, especially these belt pouches. These are kind of like primitive mountain man belt pouches, as I like to call them. You know, frontiersman style belt pouches. I like to leave them kind of rough and unrefined, because, like I said, it adds character. I'm big on character. You know, I see, you know, these mass-produced, like, belt pouches and other leather work, and every single one looks completely identical. It's like, from a manufacturing standpoint, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to do that, but it's like there's no character to it. You can go to the Renaissance Fair and see 800 pouches on the, you know, different people, and I don't know, there's just no character to that. I mean, nothing against the people at Ren Fair, obviously. I go to Ren Fair myself, or else I wouldn't be seeing that, but just kind of an example. It's like the same with, like, Amazon and online. I think doing pieces or one of a kind are really cool. So yeah, let's see. But yeah, so if you didn't get what I meant earlier, basically I'd fold this over, right? And then put a stitch across right about there. deep enough for your tin to sit in. I'm gonna put a fire kit in here. It's essentially just gonna be for that. But and you know, you can put other stuff to collect tinder in these. But yeah, it looks like I did a good job of keeping it pretty symmetrical, pretty lined up. It won't show too bad if you don't, because like I said, this will be stitched across here, and this will be sitting on the bottom pouch, so it won't be too crazy. Let's see. Now we're going to figure out where we want to cut. You know, that ridge, that line that I like so much, I don't think it really shows up as well as I thought it would now that it's on this tiny piece, so I don't know if I really... I think I want to, I'll just use one of the side pieces. It's not as prominent looking in the actual piece as I would have liked. So I think we're going to come in and just try to find the best piece that's going to work for this. As to save as much of the material as possible. I might use right here. I kind of like this rough line here. I don't know, I might go the extra mile and put a stitch across here so it'll stiffen up the belt pouch a little bit. It depends on how much I like you guys. Yeah, so all I'm going to do now is figure out on here. So I have that be there. I want the belt pouch to pretty much, the belt loop to pretty much come to here. So this is again why I like to use this lined paper. I'm going to fold it right on that line just to make sure I'm all the way across in a straight line. And then I'm just going to cut this individual shape out right here. So I'll bring this guy back. Figure out where I was. I think I was talking about doing it up here. Maybe? It was the other side. It was. So now to here, I'm going to go ahead and cut just this section. I'm just going to trace this section on the inside. Figure out the best area to use it. I don't want to get this clamp mark that a lot of leather has, so I'm going to go to the side of that. I'm going to give myself a little wiggle room. It's always good to do. Make sure I've got somewhat of a good design there, or good layout there. I think that's good. Grab our handy dandy pen. I think I'm just going to go ahead and start the line. I'm going to cut it there. Now we're just going to go quickly around. Oops. I don't need to be nearly as precise as the first part. Because like I said, even if you don't mark all the way through, it'll still show up on the leather, but this is a much smaller piece. I can kind of see the whole thing as it lays. So I've got a little bit of extra material. I think I will try to do a rollover on here. Maybe. We'll see. It's a lot of extra. I mean, it's not too bad. I'll probably do that. Just for you guys, because I appreciate you. So we're just going to, again, cut this shape out. Now usually when I stitch these two, I'll do a whip stitch on the outside so you can see the stitching. I don't know if I want to try it out because I like that because it looks cool. It looks primitive. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but that's kind of my thing. I really like the primitive old school look. The stuff that looks like it, you know, was very much handmade by someone. Yeah, perfect. Oh, let's see. That should probably, I might be able to work that out by I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I included one of those clamp marks. I should be able to like work that out. You can kind of like massage out stuff like that sometimes. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and show you guys the layout, how to make these. Super easy. I might turn this one inside out just to help cover that. So basically we'd stitch this outside, so I would just whip, 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 stitch, you know, and I'll stitch this first, lay this over so it's a little more rigid and a little more nice looking. Whip stitch all the way around, turn it inside out, and then we'll get it. It'll be essentially like this. I left this a little, I put a little extra on here so it would be have a little more capacity. But we'll stitch that right above where that back part starts, and then it'll lay over the front, and it'll be a lovely little pouch. I'm also going to work on casting a little, I'm going to try to cast a button for it that has my logo on it. Spoiler alert, I've been trying that today, trying to carve that out. Some of my failed attempts, I don't know if that'll be included in the video, but I might have to figure out something else on there. I might just put a normal shank button on here. So there'll be a button right here, hold the whole thing together, have a fire kit in here, bingo bango, it'll be beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab all my stitching stuff and go ahead and get started on that. Alright, back with all my sewing stuff. I thought I'd show you like an example of that pouch, one of the other pouches, in case you hadn't seen it in one of the other videos. But yeah, you just front pouch, stitch to one piece in the back. It's just two pieces, super simple. And then you get your button here, being visited by my cat, the Honorable Beef Supreme. Is his name. You know, I do a running stitch across top because it doesn't need to be very strong. This belt loop's pretty big, pretty generous, but I usually use pretty thick belts. But yeah, thought I'd show you guys the finished product, what it's gonna look like. This is just gonna be for a fire kit, so it's not gonna be huge. So first and foremost, I think I'm going to figure out. I think I want this to be the top flap because I like that dark area there. So we're going to go ahead and see, I like the way the softer material kind of holds the stitches. It kind of shows them a little bit better, and I think that looks really good. So I think, I don't know, I really love that like look. Technically, you're supposed to stitch stuff inside out and flip it out, but like, I think that looks cool. So we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and, so I have an awl here. I made this one on a live stream actually. I can use that, but for this thin material, I like to use these needles. Which, I mean, these are, that one might be too big actually. We'll use one of the smaller ones. But I like to use these, I'll show you on this one, but I like to use these, which are like bladed. I mean, they're pretty sharp. See how easy it's gonna be to punch through this material on one of these little scrap pieces of goat now. Oh yeah. Well, let's try it doubled over because it'll be doubled. Perfect. You know, I think I will probably use this because I don't think that's making too big of a hole. But what we're going to be using for stitching material is we're going to use this waxed cotton. Usually I'd use an artificial sinew for this, but I think this goes well with the color of this, and I don't have any good colored artificial sinew. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take about a tailor's yard, which is like the end of your hand, all the way up to your chin, across your arm. I think I'm going to take about 3 of those. So I like to be over-prepared. It's annoying to pull the thread through, but I'm also going to be double stitching, so cut that. Put that off to the side. Take a look at our length. I'm also, yeah, I'm doubling up on the material or the thread, so I think that'll be more than enough. It also gives us a little breathing room in case something happens with the thread halfway through. Pull that to the middle, and then all we're going to do is tie this in a knot. Just a simple overhand knot. Doesn't have to be too fancy. And now how I start these, I think I will flip this over. I think I'll do that for you guys, whoever's going to win. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to hide this stitch, or this big knot. I'm going to hide it inside. This is going to be stitched against the wall, so I'm not really too worried about it anyway, but we're just going to kind of eyeball everything. I've got a piece of wax. Sometimes it's easier to use that instead of a thimble, which is essentially what I have here. Go in here, get that first stitch in, get that material down. Yeah, I think that'll lay over just right. Then I'm going to go ahead and, since that's on top, I'm going to go, it's going to be a pretty big stitch, just for time's sake. I'm going to go through again, do that again. I believe this is called a running stitch. I'm not 100% sure. I usually will do like 2 or 3 of those, and I'll go pull this through. Pull that somewhat tight, and then you can kind of loosen it up. This is a pretty big stitch. It's mostly decorative. And to give just a little support, make this edge a little prettier too. It's all aesthetics for this. A little bit of function, I guess, but yeah. So we're going to go ahead and continue doing that. You want to keep it kind of even, you know, but like I said, primitive, you know, Bushman pouch. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think I'm gonna, after of course the giveaway's done, and once I have a little bit more time, I didn't think I'd be able to get all the way through to the end like that. Try not to stab myself. But I think I'm going to put these up on my Etsy shop, which is now up, but with no items. Which I need to make some. It's just hard to do. I've got a bunch of I'm already doing some work for some other people. Like I think if you guys caught my live stream, you saw me working on that knife for my sometimes cameraman Joey / Tim. Working on that. Working on some other stuff. Did some sharpening. Yeah, I think that looks good. And I've just done this kind of enough times to know essentially what it's supposed to look like. And once we're to the end, I'm just going to come back through, pull that through like that, make sure everything's good, and that definitely made that a little more rigid. I think that'll be good. Then we're going to go ahead and come here, lay this down. Since this is on the inside, I'm going to use this stuff until I need it. Make sure everything's lined up okay. And we're going to go ahead and commit. Go ahead and pull through here. I'm not going to show you this whole stitching process because I think that'd be a little boring. I may speed it up or just cut. I think I'll probably cut because that's a little less editing for me. Let's see. Now this stitching does have to be a little bit closer together. You can't have it be too far apart like I did on this part. Those are big coarse stitches, but I mean they're not really integral to the pouch. But this, if you have anything small and you had something like that, it would fall through the stitching. Or if you had big spaces like that. Go over and then come in next to it, come through again, wash, rinse, repeat. And we're just going to do this all the way around. And I'll show you guys. Sometimes it's helpful to have something solid behind when you're starting, so you can get your hole started without your pieces shifting too much. I like to use a cork, a big champagne cork for this a lot of the times. Sometimes I'll use this little awl if I'm using it for stiff leather. I don't think that'll be too important for this. But yeah, you can kind of see the spacing. I think this is going to look cool. It's going to look primitive. Really enjoying the vibe of this so far. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep stitching away at this. And I'll check back in with you at the end and show you how to tie it off. Alright, welcome back again. So we got it stitched across. I'm going to do something a little bit different because this one, it's a little bit of a pain to get the belt all the way through. It's not too bad now that I've waxed this a bit, and you see how stretchy that is? That's why I didn't want to go with the same material. I think this will hold its shape a lot better, even if it's smaller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cutout here, and it's just going to be easier to slide your belt through part of it and then slide your belt through the rest. But what I'm going to do for that, after I finish this stitch, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors, fold it in half, and hope for the best. I've never tried that before, so hopefully it doesn't look like hot garbage. Just like the other one, we're going to go ahead and snip that, burn that, press it down. It says it's waxed cotton, or yeah, waxed cotton is what this says it is on the thing. I think I just got this at like some hobby shop, but it's clearly some sort of synthetic material. You see how sharp that is? Just drop that and it just stabbed right in there. I'm going to do one more thing because I like the way I left a little bit of overlap, and I didn't know if I liked it tucked in or out like that, but I think I like it tucked in because it gives it a nice shape up there, and I think it looks a lot cleaner. So we're going to go ahead and come back in here. We're going to just go right through there, out through the front, and then come back. I think we're going to go under our first stitch. Just kind of making this up as I go. I've made these bags before, but I'm trying a bunch of new stuff with this one. Because usually what I would do for that part is I would just cut it to fit a little bit better, is what I did with my first one. Or actually, I think I just left that one a little bit higher up. But yeah, I think I like the way that looks wrapped around like that. And I think it'll help keep water out of the opening a lot better. May actually make it stay open a little bit better too, because once it flips back, yeah, look at that. Innovation live, people. Alright. I'll remember you guys when I'm accepting my Nobel Peace Prize for figuring out this flap. Oh my gosh, never mind. I lost it because I got tangled up. Alright. I'm just going to go one more time from this way. Kind of a hot mess in there, but that's okay. It'll be all covered up in the end. Oh my gosh. Pull that tight. Snip that. Snip the initial tag. You know the routine. Burn it a little bit. Just kind of melts everything together so it doesn't come undone. Then I think, yeah, I kind of want it to just go like that, but not too close to the stitching. So we're going to make sure this is really flat and uniform. It's important. We'll just kind of Use the big kitchen scissors. Don't tell my wife I'm using the kitchen scissors on a project. We're going to come in. I generally know where I want it, and we're just going to commit. Oh, look at that. It's perfect. It's beautiful. And you know what? That's a perfect leather leaf for the fire kit. So we're going to put that in the fire kit. Look at that. That'll be so easy to get a belt in. I think that looks pretty good. It looks like a 14th century French style bag. You know, I don't even know if this needs a clasp. You know, honestly, I mean, I'm not going to load this thing up too much with stuff. What is it? Oh my gosh, there's a hole. Is that a hole? Yeah, that's definitely a hole. Oh. Chat, we're cooked. Oh, man. I don't know if you guys can see that. Bring that close. Oh, man, that stinks. Oh, should I just throw a stitch in? I mean, that's character, but this is supposed to be like a giveaway item. Let's stitch it, see how it looks. We're going to use a single thread instead of a double, and we're going to use a much smaller needle. Man, I didn't notice that. Yeah, we're going to use one of these little guys. I think I just cut myself with this. These needles are sharp, even like from the side. Man. Oh, these are so much harder to thread. Well, there's a big chunk of stuff in there. I don't know what that is. Oh, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to thread this needle with this material. It's pretty tight in there. Let's see. Try to. This is a trick I learned a bit ago. I don't know if anyone else has done this. You just melt just a little bit, straighten it out while it's cooling, and then a good pair of scissors. I'm going to bring this in. Maybe you guys can see. A pair of scissors, see how it's flattened out? We're going to come in at an angle, cut that hardened melted end into a little bit of a point. Sometimes that'll help. Definitely not foolproof. Ooh. Yeah, we only got part of it in. Try that. Nope. Well, what do we think? Because, I mean, it's not going to affect the bag at all. I mean, I didn't even notice it. I could just, I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to stitch it with the big needle. We're going to see how it looks. And if it looks like total garbage, then we're actually going to use just a single needle or a single thread. And how we're going to do that, bring this in a little bit better contrast for you guys maybe. We're going to come back through the thread itself, pull that through, and it'll just kind of sit there. And that way it'll be thin enough that we don't have to tie a knot, because we want this to be as thin as possible, which we're using that needle, so it can only be so thin. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave this as the giveaway bag just because it kind of tells the story, probably, as long as it doesn't look too bad. If you end up winning this, let me know if you don't want this bag because of that little hole, and I'll make you a different one. I probably won't make a video about that one, but just for time's sake, because it seems to me that when I film myself doing things, it takes me like twice as long to do those things because I'm talking, you know, making sure the camera's going. Come back in. We're just gonna do like a little mini whip stitch. Oh, please don't tear. Man, that stinks. Close that up. And come far away from that first hole. Just to make sure that we don't rip the material because this needle's pretty big. Oh, man. I don't know. Yeah. We're gonna try. I think that'll be about the last stitch we put in. And we're just gonna go ahead and go back under our last stitch. What a bummer. But yeah, we'll leave this as the giveaway pouch. If you decide that this is too egregious, let me know. If you'd rather have like I'll make a different one out of the same goat skin and everything, but it'll be the same pattern. It looks rough, but the hole's gone. It may look a little different once we get the stuff on. You know, actually, I don't think this even needs a button because this likes to hold down, and then once it flips up, it's fine. It likes to hold itself up, and this is much stiffer, which is the whole reason I put that clasp or that button on that other one. I kind of like that. I kind of like that plain. I probably will throw a button on it. You know, button actually probably, if I put 2 buttons on it, it'd look bad. But yeah, let me know if you're winning this. Let me know. I'll definitely make you a new one. If you don't want this one, it do be looking a little rough. But yeah, I think this will be. I mean, it'll definitely work. Almost forgot. Snip that little tail off. Burn, burn, burn. Press, press, press. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that the way it is. I'll probably throw... I have another one of these exact buttons. I think that'd look good on there. I think that color combination would be really nice. But if not, I have to go find that button. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it really needs it. I'll go ahead and put the tin in. Tin is nothing too special. It's just a high, you know, nice quality... like a better version of an Altoid tin, basically. Yeah, I really don't think it needs a button. It's not going to flop open. It's got that, so it'll be pretty tight. But and having this, it kind of locks it in place. If you also want a button on it, I'm not going to put a button on it right now. But if you want a button, let me know. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. It's not really wanting to... Oh, never mind. Okay, so we're gonna... In this part of the video, I'm gonna come back and a couple seconds for you guys, maybe a day or two for me. Forge the belt, or the belt buckle, the flint and steel. Show you guys all the other goodies that are gonna go in here. And yeah, see you then. Hey, welcome back to the forge, everyone. Finally got my the good steel in that I needed for my fire steel. Gonna get on that today. Should be the last part. If you're seeing this, you're already watching the video, so you should know that giveaway is live. Got a nice piece, a 3/16 inch 1095 steel. I wanted a good, nice steel for you guys. So that it'd be a nice, robust fire steel. Yeah, we're just gonna forge this out. Might speed up through this. Not super important for you guys to see the forging process. But yeah, this design I'm putting together, or that I use, is something I put together a couple years back, and it's both a ferrocerium striker and a fire steel, a flint and steel. I'll give a demonstration with one of my older ones, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'll do a whole little intro to this video so you guys know what all's going on with the giveaway, and show the rest of the making of the rest of the things. But yeah. Just waiting for that steel to get up to temperature, and I'll be back with you guys. All right, I generally got the shape down that I want. This is gonna be the striking side for the flint and steel. I'm just gonna round it out a little bit on my belt sander. Got to clean up this really sloppy cut. Clean up this side, straighten it out. That'll be the ferrocerium striker side. And yeah, I'm gonna go grind it up. Show you guys what it looks like after. All right, we pretty much got it down to its final shape here. So striker on this side for ferrocerium rod. Striker here, Chongo style ferrocerium rod there, which technically you're supposed to go like that, but I don't ever do that. Flint and steel side here. Another thing that I use this for a lot, I have one that's double-sided like this, but I feel like this is better because you get more striking surface. This is good for scraping bark. This is really old, so it won't really work, but good for scraping bark on that side. I mean, I'm sure this one would be fine for scraping bark too. But whenever I'm making natural cordage, I like to use the smooth side of mine to mash up the plant material so I can get to the fibers. But yeah, really great multi-fire thing. I haven't really seen other people make these, so I thought I would give one of these away. These are kind of unique to me. But all we got to do now for this is quench it. Which to do that, I'm just going to heat up this piece of rebar so I can start to heat my oil up. Throw this guy in there, get it up to critical temperature, grind off the sand, or sand, the stuff that's left whenever you quench it. It's actually got a really neat pattern on it, which I usually use a ball peen hammer to hollow out this middle so it's a little bit more comfortable to hold as a flint and steel. But my ball peen hammer had a little dent in it and it left all these cool little marks, which I really love. I'm definitely not going to grind that out. That's cool. Yeah, so we're just waiting for this thing to get up to temperature, and I'll check back in once my oil is all heated up and everything, and I'll bring you in for the exciting part. All right, we got her just about up to temp. We're going to go ahead and quench her just here in a second. Got the oil preheated, that's important. Going to grab our workpiece. Maybe, there we go. Make sure it's not magnetic. Right into the oil. We're going to quench the whole thing. We want the whole thing hard with fire steels. And the difference between this and knives is we're not going to temper this. So it's just going to be as hard as can be. So if you're the one who wins this, don't drop it. I might try to temper it a little bit, but usually you don't want to temper it because it'll soften it too much and won't throw sparks as well. All right, we think that we got her there. Gonna go ahead and test her out with a file. See if it skates a file. It does not. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, there's lots of buildup on there. Does not. That means we did not get it hard enough. So we're gonna have to go back in and do it again. Usually I don't like to do that, but with a fire steel, I think it'll be fine. I'm kind of worried that this steel is not up to snuff. All right, got it. All right, so I decided I didn't want to mess around. I made a bucket of Super Quench, which is literally just very salty, soapy water. And what that does is it's going to make it, it's going to cool it off a lot faster because I really want this to be as hard as possible. The only risk is hearing a crack. If I hear a crack in this quench, that means the whole thing's cracked. It's not going to be good, but I just really want to make sure that this is going to work. All right, we're going to go ahead and shut the forge off so I don't burn all the hair off my knuckles again. Bring her out and quench. Oop, dropped it. That's not good in a plastic bucket. But she should be cool now. Fingers crossed this time that it hardened. I didn't hear any cracks or tings. She looks to be in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and hit her with the file again. This is literally just Dawn and table salt. There we go. That's what we want to hear. So that means now that's that side did not harden. This side hardened, which is the side that's important. Perfect. That'll make for a good fire steel. I'm gonna go ahead and grind off all the scale, show you guys the finished product, and then hop over to the end of the video. All right, I got my forage cooling down. So what I'm gonna do is I made this little tin for the giveaway. It's got some pieces of dishcloth. We're just gonna throw her in there, see if that gets hot enough to turn that into char cloth. We'll check back in. All right, welcome back everyone. I wanted to say first and foremost, thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers. This is a celebration of you guys, not of me and everything, because I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have 500 subscribers without you guys. So first and foremost, I wanted to start off with a little bit of a celebratory drink. This was gifted to me by my brother-in-law. I'm gonna pour a little bit. This is Odin's Skull Mead. Good stuff. Try it out if you have a chance. But yeah, just wanted to say thank you guys so much. Cheers to you guys. Skål. So it's been a little bit. I've been kind of delayed on working on this giveaway. I'm actually at 671 subscribers at this moment. I will be doing another giveaway at 1,000. It's gonna be, I think, a little cooler than this. This is all right, but yeah. So made this little belt pouch fire kit. Got a char cloth tin in there. Just in the bottom, got some other stuff. I'm probably gonna throw in a couple more goodies in here before I send it off. But I've got a couple pieces of fat wood, a piece of twine for making tinder. I like to keep it whole. Just works a little bit better that way. And then we've got the star of the show, in my opinion. We got the little fire kit. Start off with this, which is a leather leaf. So whenever you're making a friction fire, you put this under your baseboard to catch the ember, and then you can transfer this. You pull it out, it's got an ember on here, and you transfer it into your tinder nest. I always like to, I have a couple of those that I use. Got the multi-fire steel, which works a couple different ways. Works with ferrocerium rod. So this side that has the curve in, that's the side you're going to want to use with a ferro rod. I got a pretty good angle on there. It works pretty well. There's also the bottom, which is there's another striker for that. I'm not the most well versed in it's called a chongo notch, I think is what it's called. But you're supposed to do that number. I don't really do that, but I thought I'd include it because it's kind of neat if you're into that. This side is for flint and steel, which we'll go ahead and take your piece of flint, which is your next thing in there. Give you guys a little demonstration, show you that it works. You just find a sharp edge. This is a pretty good piece of flint, and you just try to get your sparks to land on your char cloth. Oh, smothered that one out. Just made this char cloth, so there we go. Then you transfer that ember to your tinder bundle, your bird's nest, whatever you want to call it. But I thought I'd show you guys that that works. Let me go ahead and put that there, put that out. But yeah, so we've also got in here so a little bit of tinder, a bunch of char cloth, and a little mini ferrocerium rod with a little bit of twine. So you'll take this, you'll pin your tinder, and you'll strike like that with your thumb at the end with this little striker. But I wanted to give this to you guys as a thank you so much for subscribing. It means so much to me that you guys are, you know, liking my channel and supporting me. And yeah, so I guess I better tell you guys how to get in on this giveaway. So you'll need to be subscribed. You'll need to let's see what'll be the word. You'll have to comment Mystic. You'll have to have the word Mystic in the comment for it to be eligible for the random drawing. There's a website where you can go and enter in your YouTube link, and it'll just randomly select that. I'll do that on a live stream. It's going to be 14 days from today. It's going to be 2 weeks from the day that this is posted, which is, what's today's date? The 11th of November. So yeah, so I'm gonna probably toss a couple more things in here. I might toss a couple extra goodies. I'm not sure the order in which also this char tin, I put an eye on there just because it's kind of my thing. I'll be also unveiling my channel's logo as well this video. So also, I'm sure you guys saw this earlier. If I posted it earlier, I'm gonna try not to put this in the beginning or the end of my video because I don't want everyone to just find out the thing and do all that. But there was an imperfection in the leather here that I had to stitch shut. If that's a big deal to you, I can replace this. I actually have another one on deck already. So if you win, let me know if you don't want the one with a little bit of a hole in it. I'll just give you a different one. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, so thank you guys so much again. Yeah, 2 weeks from today, 2 weeks from November the 11th. Yeah, little fire kit just goes on your belt. And yeah, thank you guys again so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for inspiring me to do this, and get out in the woods, stay safe, and see you in the next giveaway. Alright, so in addition to putting Mystic in the comment, it has to be a unique comment. Sorry, unfortunately though, I can only do shipping to America. I can't really afford to send out of country. But I thought I would also give you a little bit of a close-up on all the stuff, because it's kind of hard to see in the other bit of the video. There's the fire steel. There's the belt pouch. There's that little hole. And then again, if that is an issue, I stitched it up, but it's kind of an ugly stitch. But if that's an issue, let me know, and I'll get you a different one. There's the char cloth, the flint, the tinder, the leather leaf, extra little bit of stuff for tinder, extra ferro rod. But yeah, thought I'd show you guys up close. Alright, get out in the woods, stay safe, and subscribe.